Hey there, welcome to Product Marketing Genius. I'm your host, Nitin Kartik. As the author of the bestseller Product Marketing Wisdom and one of the top 100 most influential product marketers who's been featured on BBC TV and in Times Square, I know that leaders are lifelong learners. And that is why on this show, we learn from some of the best leaders out there. And today, my friends, our product marketing genius is Yi Lin Pei, who is CEO and coach at Courageous Careers. So Yi Lin, welcome to the show. Please tell us a little bit about your journey into product marketing.
Thank you so much for having me here, Nitin. My name is Yi Lin, and my journey started in product marketing actually as a career switcher, like many of the people who are product marketers today. I came from a consulting and transportation engineering background and then pivoted into product marketing. And since pivoting into product marketing, I had different roles and became a 3-time product marketing leader working at different startups and also large companies. And I realized there was a really strong need for product marketers to really understand how to grow in their roles, how to land the jobs, and basically thrive in their careers. And that's when I started to build my coaching business, which is called Courageous Careers. And to date, I've helped over 300 individuals, both product marketers and leaders, to land their job, grow in their careers, and thrive in their role in product marketing.
Wow, look at that. And I think at no time have we had more of a need for guidance and help with careers. So I think definitely this is amazing what you're doing. So thank you, Yi Lin. So Yi Lin, now we're going to play a Would You Rather game.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you 5 Would You Rather questions, and I'd like you to answer in roughly 1 minute each. Are you ready for that?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. I like it. Okay, so here we go. All right, so Yi Lin, first question. Yi Lin, would you rather expand globally quickly or dominate one region first, and why?
Great question. My approach would be to dominate one region first and then expand later. The reason why is by really assessing the risk profile of each choice. In the first situation of expanding globally quickly, in my opinion and experience, it requires tremendous amount of resourcing as well as understanding and validation that the plan is going to work, right? Usually when you're expanding quickly, you are going to reach out to a lot of people. You have to dedicate your entire company to doing all of those things and expanding all these channels. And I also don't know if it's going to be very successful because global means very different things depending on the region. For instance, if you're going after APAC region or going after EU and even different countries within EU, those are completely different markets requiring different strategies. So if you're going to go after globally, essentially what you're doing is still expanding regionally because there's regional specific strategies, which I believe is what's going to work best. That's why I'm choosing the second option.
Regional, I like it. Excellent answer. Wonderful. Next question. Yi Lin, would you rather rely on inbound demand or aggregate or aggressive outbound sales, and why?
Okay, so this is a question I will say depends on the goal, what your company is trying to achieve within what time frame. If your goal is to build a sustainable business that has longevity and you have time on your hand, I think inbound strategy is the one I would absolutely swear by because that's how I built my business is through inbound. I write on LinkedIn on a weekly basis and I've been doing so for 5 years consistently. It's kind of what gave me my audience and that is certain trust. At least I think so. That's been built with my audience and that's kind of what's driving my business. But the downside of that is it takes a lot of time and effort to do. And outbound, to your point, it's aggressive outbound is it's much more likely to give you the results in the short term because how I see the balance between inbound and outbound is one, the cost is time. The other one is cost is money, right? So in either situation, there is a cost associated with it. It's just what is your goal and which one is going to be better for you. Personally, I would choose the first option.
Excellent. Inbound and play the long game. I love that advice. Excellent. So thank you, Yi Lin.
Yeah.
Next question. Yi Lin, would you rather partner heavily with sales or partner heavily with product, and why?
This is another question that is a little bit of a depends on the business model. If you're in a PLG company, of course you want to partner with product because that is literally what the company is building and what it is. And usually the sales team are playing more of a supportive role in that case. If it's a very sales-led and sales-heavy organization, especially when you're talking about enterprise deals, then partnering with sales is critical because whether we like it or not, a lot of times sales are driving. They're the center of influence in the companies, right? So I think for us product marketers, one of the things I tell people is you got to find the center of influence within the company and align yourself with them. So it's a little bit of, it depends.
I like it. Sometimes you don't have to choose between the two. And I like how you laid out the pros and cons, right? Whether you're a PLG company or not. So excellent. So wonderful. Next question. Yi Lin, would you rather focus on pipeline growth or conversion rate improvement, and why?
That depends on the business challenge we're trying to solve for and what matters most to the company at that point in time. Because if you're focused on pipeline growth, you have a middle funnel problem usually, right? If you're focused on conversion rate, it's bottom of funnel. So I think it's very important for you to align with your leadership and determine what is the biggest problem, and then you focus on your activities accordingly. I will say though, I have a little bit bias for conversion rate, and the reason is that especially when you're starting you're starting a new role, it's much easier to show impact as a product marketer if you focus on conversion rate through the sales enablement materials, because those deals are already in the funnel. So if you're trying to convert them, it's just a lot easier to see and it takes shorter time to see than focusing on specifically on pipeline.
Excellent. I like that. When you have to make a quick return on investment, focus on your conversion rate. Excellent advice. So thank you, Yi Lin. All right, last question. Yi Lin, would you rather build a repeatable go-to-market motion or experiment constantly, and why?
Okay, so here's my approach to doing this. I actually take an 80-20 rule for processes because I think it's important for you to have some framework that reduces any kind of back and forth. It helps drive efficiency when you have a repeatable framework. At the same time, if you just have that, you might be very inflexible. That doesn't really help you improve, right? You only improve if you're willing to experiment. So generally when I work with my teams prior, and what I help clients understand is to save 20% of the time for experimentation on some other ideas that are big bets or maybe higher risk, right? And if you see great results with that, then you can implement it as part of your core framework. But if they fail, that's fine because it's not high risk. But I do think, putting all your eggs in the basket on trying to do everything as experiments do have a lot of risks. So I wouldn't recommend that as the only option.
Yes, I love that 80-20 rule, and you applied it beautifully. So thank you, Yi Lin. Folks, there you have it. Please reach out to Yi Lin, and for even more advice, check out my book, Product Marketing Wisdom, at productmarketingwisdom.com. And see you next time on Product Marketing Genius.